A big welcome to all the viewers watching Soul to Soul talk show. And as mentioned in the previous episode, we will be continuing this journey with Brother Anthony Phillpis from UK, who is presently a teacher at the retreat center there. Brother, we had finished off our previous episode with you telling us that we're all caught by this wrong formula that what you feel is based on what happens. So is there a right formula to correct this?
Yeah, actually, you know, I think the essence of Raj Yoga is understanding the wrong formula and knowing the right formula and then using the right formula. So the wrong formula is very simple. There's two sides to it, as with any formula. It's what's going on, so how do I feel? So that's like very simple to understand.
Your feelings depend on what
and
happens.
so how I'm feeling depends on what's going on. And we've been taught this by our parents and our parents' parents and our parents' parents' parents. And in fact, hearing in the culture, any story, any poem, any film, they're all the same stories. It's the story of what's going on, so how do I feel? And mankind's fantastic adventure in resolving bad things or whatever it is. Whatever the story is, you can actually break it down into what's going on, so how do I feel, and a story of fixing it up so that you feel better. And sometimes it works, in which case it's a happy ending, and sometimes it doesn't, in which case it's a tragedy.
Sad ending, right.
Yeah, and that's the way it is. You go, you know, just Google William Shakespeare and you'll find out all about it. So, and in fact, also the other thing that's very important to understand is that all the institutions on earth are predicated on this formula.
All the institutions?
All the institutions
all
on
types
earth.
of institutions?
Government,
Education.
insurance, education, medical, law. It's all about what's going on, so how do I feel? So the existence of the whole of the legal profession, the existence of the whole of the governmental forces in the world, no matter which country, it's all about organizing and orchestrating life such that someone, some group, can feel, loose use of the word, feel better. Yeah?
Right.
And what we want, we all want the same things. If you strip away the details, we all want peace of mind, we all want to be loved and to love, we all want to be happy, we all want to be fulfilled or content, we all want to have an authentic real life or to be pure, and we all want to feel empowered.
Right.
So if you think of peace, love, happiness, contentment, purity, giving power. Yeah, I sit on my right hand of power. Yeah, and then there's a left hand of the vices, but we won't go into that today. So everybody is into that, and they're doing it based on the old formula. And if they can work the formula properly, they can feel like they're king of the castle. But you know as well as I do that in the end, things go wrong.
Right.
And when things go wrong, what do you feel? You feel frustrated, you feel angry, you feel depressed, you feel freaked out.
It's the opposite of what you
It's the
want.
opposite of what you want.
Right.
And then you try very hard to fix it up, and if you succeed, you go, oh, look at that, I worked hard and I succeeded and I feel better. And you can die like that. But sometimes, and in fact increasingly, the whole human race is suffering from the problem of problems beyond their control. There's not a person on earth that doesn't get a bit freaked out by the environment, the problems of the environment. There isn't a person on earth that isn't a bit freaked out by the problems of the economic situation, the financial meltdown. And there are so many other things. How many people on earth are having to suffer real violence and awful things happening, especially in the Middle East at the moment? So what's going on ain't good. And they can't do anything about it. So because they're not mad, they get angry, frustrated. If they were mad, they'd be happy, right?
Right.
Yeah. So what to do spiritually? And we're talking about the very beginning. You know, you've seen a sweep second hand. At the end of a sweep second hand, it's moving hugely, but right at the bottom, it's hardly any movement at all. So we're talking about altering the very bottom of the second hand. We're altering this fundamental formula. And you know, I've used the word formula, which means that you have to have a kind of vaguely mathematical perspective. And as you know from my last interview with you, I failed all my exams, including mathematics. And so I'm not very good at maths. But I do remember the basis of algebra, you know, where A equals B, and then you can switch them around and
Right.
B equals A, right?
Commutative,
So in the
right.
same way, you can use the same material. What's going on? So how do I feel? You take the same material
And
and you
switch
switch it round.
Oh.
You're smart, well done. And so the formula is, how do I feel?
Decides
Now
what
what's going on?
happens.
No, how do I feel? Now what's going on? And then there you have to ask yourself a very, very important question. How do I feel? And if you've only ever been using the first formula, the only answer you can give is, I don't know. Because that first question, how do I feel, is really the same as, who am I? Who am I? And so the first step of any spiritual path is to reacquaint the self with the self. Yeah, just to give yourself the chance
To know yourself.
to know yourself. To not even know yourself, to appreciate yourself, to feel yourself. But how can you
But
do
till
that?
now, we have been feeling according to what has happened.
Exactly.
So how do we know?
Yeah, it's not easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the
How do we
happiness
know
you
to
feel,
originate our feelings?
the happiness you feel when you're given a new Ferrari, if you fancy that sort of thing,
Mm-hmm.
is real happiness.
Yes.
So it's not like you're looking for some fantastic feeling that's never been felt before.
Mm.
So you're looking for happiness, but not happiness generated from outside in,
Oh,
but from inside out. Yes, this is very subtle stuff. So, okay, what are you meant to do? You're meant to sit there and go, okay, I am happy, I am happy, I am happy. And you know, many people I say to them, I say, you are already
Happy.
a happy, peaceful, loving soul. And I can hear them say, no, I'm not. And of course, they're not,
Because they're
because they're
feeling it.
responding to what they do.
Right.
So we have, it's very tricky, very subtle stuff, very beautiful thing to do. And so the first thing we do, actually, is just sit with the self and, in a sense, like a little baby, you know, we calm ourselves down and we just allow ourselves to enjoy our own experience. And there are various techniques. I mean, I won't go into them now because it's not very television friendly, but it's a subtle, beautiful first step of reacquainting the self with the self. You know, from the depths of silence, the self reveals itself to itself, something like that. You know, these are beautiful ideas from ancient scriptures, and everyone sort of quotes them and says, oh, we must be silent. And so everyone goes, okay, I'm silent. And I don't feel any better.
I'm not feeling any better.
Yeah. Or what happens is you go into a big church. You asked me last time you were interviewing me about going in church, and I said to you, I like the silence.
Right.
Well, you go in, you see, oh, this is silent. I feel so good. Well, that's the old system.
Mm.
The church is beautiful. I feel good. And this is very tricky, because then you come along to the Brahma Kumaris and we pay you squishy music and we put the lights down and we're very nice people and we give you nice food and we calm you down. And you go, oh, I love coming to the Brahma
And
Kumaris.
again, we're still stuck to the same old formula.
Same thing. If you're serious, Raj Yogi, this is not so easy.
Mm.
You got to get down to some work. And it's not like, you know, looking good syndrome. I told you about that disease last time.
Right.
It's very easy to dress up in white and say Om Shanti a lot.
Mm.
It's not so easy to just know the self. And that's the first thing, and you don't have to do much more.
So what did you do to know yourself?
Well, it took me, I mean, I've been playing around at this for 30 years,
Hmm.
and I'm, you know, every day is better. But I would say at least 20 of those 30 years I was going the wrong way around. I mean, yeah,
Oh.
really. Yeah, maybe 15. I don't know. My memory's not great. But yeah, this material, this stuff is very subtle. It's not easy.
Yes, it is.
But it's
not.
a very, very good thing to do. And it's not like we're trying to get people to behave in a certain way. You know, I think a lot of people think the Brahma Kumaris is a character remediation society. In other words, you know, you come to the Brahma Kumaris and you
Right,
become a
we
good person
talk about
and all the rest
values,
of it.
virtues.
Yeah, they always talk about values and virtue. I myself don't. But it's not. This is a society for becoming soul conscious. And then the happy side effects of soul consciousness is that you'll behave all right, You'll behave from
Every
the
time.
inside out. If you're already supremely happy, you're content. You don't have to be aggressive. You don't have to steal. You don't have to lie. You don't have to get upset even. So that, and then people on the outside say, oh, a very good character. And so what you've done is you've remediated your character, but you haven't actually worked on your character. You're just conscious of the self. And this is very, very important, but, it's not often talked about.
Still, from so many years, we've been stuck to this previous sort of way of handling.
Yeah, I observe that in order to get started, we have to piggyback on the old formula. So, for instance, I do have a dream that the first time I teach a group of people meditation, that I will teach it to the music of heavy metal music and gunfire, because actually that's when you need,
you need a meditative state.
Yeah, you need to be but unfortunately people don't, when you're first starting, you get a bit freaked out by that.
That's a nice
So okay, we play them squishy music. But the problem is we get addicted to the squishy music.
Right.
And you don't think you're being a good BK unless you've got squishy music. There's all sorts of complications here. Because the humanity, the Brahma Kumaris is made up of people who are works in progress. Brahmins by definition are in a deficit situation because we are moving towards our goal. And while we're on our way, there are challenges. But awareness, in my opinion, awareness is critical to be able to observe the self and to be able to take help.
What do you mean by observe the self? Like you pay attention to how you react, how you talk.
Yeah,
what you think.
all that stuff. Paying attention because these are clues as to where you're at. Because it's very easy when nothing's going wrong to think, oh, I'm very perfect. But then as soon as someone treads on your toe, you find out how tolerant you are or whatever. And it's good. I had a very interesting experience. And in fact, I think you had Eric on the show, and he was observing the towers coming down in 9/11. Did he tell you about that? Oh, well, you could have asked him all about that.
I didn't know.
And then we had another chap, a BK, actually in the building at the time. I had a meeting at 11 o'clock that day on 9/11 in building number 1.
Were you there?
Yeah, well, I was in the vicinity. And I wasn't there because the building wasn't there by the time my meeting was on. But I do remember being in New York at the time and all the rest of it. And I'd been a BK for about 18 years, and I wasn't really sure whether it was doing me any good, actually, being a BK. I mean, I was living a reasonable life, but I didn't know whether it was actually changing my character. But my response to all the comings and goings at 9/11, when I review it, was actually, I was quite happy with my response, because it was very consistent with the work that I'd been doing for the previous 18 years, not really being sure whether or not I was doing any good. And then you're tested, and then you go, oh, well, okay, yeah, maybe something did happen after all.
What did you respond? Do you describe that?
Well, I don't want to go into too much detail because it goes on and on and on. But I can remember I was actually at LaGuardia Airport at the time, and they thought that they were sending in a plane to crash into us, and we were told to run from the building. And I don't know whether you've been to LaGuardia, but you can't run from the building. You'd be in a highway, And I just had this incredible feeling of well-being. And,
no fear at all?
No fear at all. No, none at all. And in fact, it was so weird that I thought, wow, this is weird. Why am I? And everyone was very much panicking. In fact, the more official you were, the more panicking you were, it seemed to me. And then a lot of very good things, very synchronistic things happened. I had the thought that I needed to go to our center in Long Island, and I just had that thought, and there was a car there. And all the taxis had gone, of course, and it was very difficult to move around. And there was a car there, and I heard someone saying Long Island. And I thought, oh, are you going to Long Island? I said, oh, yeah, come on, jump in. And off I went. So I was kind of whisked out of the situation very, very easily. And then I stopped on a brow of a hill and looked back to New York and the towers. And I actually saw one of the towers come down. And I remember, you kind of look and go, You know,
Are you alive?
Am I dreaming? You know, no, am I alive? Am I dreaming? Because something, you know, so when something happens, you know, you kind of, and all the people around me were really, really upset, and I wasn't. And I kind of was a bit worried that I wasn't upset. But anyway, I won't go into the details. But the point I'm trying to make was that tests come, and you can. The test allows you to see what's going on, and if you need to work on something. But even when I say work on something, you know, I'm not a believer in working on the flaws in my character. I'm a believer of becoming soul conscious, and to do that, drawing power, and to understand what's going on. I mean, there are only three questions: who am I, who is God, or what's my relationship with God, and what's going on in terms of past, present, and future, and all this stuff. And in a sense, all the work I do with myself is to try and figure that stuff out. And in fact, if you go to anybody studying any subject, that they're only trying to do that. You know, who am I? You know, what is my relationship to the world, and what's going on? And you can do that economically, or physically, or chemically, or anthropologically, or historically. It doesn't really matter. You know, you can call yourself whatever degree you like. I personally kind of want to strip away all those details, and I just want to do spiritually. You know, because I find that's the beginning of everything.
Is that the easiest way to do it?
Well, it's not the easiest. It's just the deepest way to do it.
We got to know that it's just a matter of changing the formula, and everything happens right then. And we will know more about how he himself did it, and about his relationship with God, and we will discuss more about how he knows God and what he knows about the three questions that he put in the end of this show.